Ah, yes, now we have a color photograph satellite of the entire United States. This is lesson number 4 on hurricanes. Alrighty, let's review something. Let's see if you've learned anything. What would you like to call, that was not good English, what would you like, what is it called? Don't come up with your own. What is this? Right here. Okay, you can have a couple of answers. You could say, why, that's a front. It's a band of clouds. How about jet stream? All that can be there. See how low this thing is? You know, on the other photographs it was quite high. This, you don't want to be in the area where you live when there's a hurricane coming your way. Because, boy, I'm telling you, you really have to really practice on this. Because over the years I've noticed when a hurricane approaches a front, hurricanes never, now there's always going to be an exception sometime, but in all my 35, 40 years, a hurricane has never gone through a front. It can't get through it. These kids are tremendous power behind them. You say, it's always a hurricane. These jet streams, these large motion of air across the earth, remember I said the jet stream can run 100, 200, 500 miles an hour? This is going like that. So this can actually grab a hold of the top of the hurricane and just push it right over. So let's talk about some of the features here, and then we'll go to the table and do some more discovery. First of all, we do have the jet stream running like this. All right. This hurricane, as you well know, or if you don't know, hurricanes turn like that. All right. And this is where the color top of clouds, so this is the most severe part. The hurricane has got a little piece broken off in here. All right, so this hurricane is going like this. The jet stream, or this cold front, is moving like that. So as you see, as the hurricane were to move to the north like this, it would run right into that front. And the front would chew off the top of the hurricane. It'll literally tear the hat off the hurricane. And when it does that, it causes the hurricane to change directions. All right. If you ever have a chance when you're predicting a hurricane and you see a front, remember fronts always turn, hurricanes always turn to the right. See how this is going this way? So it's going to force this hurricane to go that way. Got it? It's very rare they will stay underneath. I have seen a few like that. In fact, over the years we've had some very interesting hurricanes in their movement because of fronts. We had a hurricane one time, came across southern part of Florida, came up to a front, the front pushed it this way, the hurricane realized it couldn't go anywhere, it came around and hit South Florida the second time, and then went up through here. Because remember now, these fronts are moving, remember that? So as this comes down, if the hurricane decides to go around like this, look at here, see the break? See the breakthrough? It could get through there, or how about down here and get through here. As this moves across, if this hurricane loops around, it can find a way to get through, which has happened. Some hurricanes, when a front comes down like this, the hurricane just stands, it stops, just stands there and waits. What's it waiting for? Well, let's just pretend that these are two massive air movements having a battle, and this hurricane, I have seen it many a time, they'll sit 4 to 5 days off of Jacksonville and Charleston, South Carolina, just sit there. And the front, the wave, remember how I talked about the wave like this? Well, that wave would come up like this and go over the top, and that hurricane just sits there and waits until the front has moved on, or until the wave goes like this, and right in here the wave would lift up higher, and then the hurricane can now come in a little bit further. One thing neat about hurricanes, when they stop their forward direction, they always then change directions. When a hurricane stops, you know, its forward movement, get ready for a change in direction of its forward movement. All right, so this is a great photograph here. So if you see a hurricane season and you got the hurricanes out here, please stay with that map. You can use cold fronts, you know, the daggers and the bumps, but I suggest you wait until they show the satellite photograph, and then you'll actually see where the jet stream is, how strong the cold front is, if there's any breaks, and that'll help you predict the path. And see, there's the curve of the earth. See, it's right there. So it's all set for you. Remember now, hurricanes are found all around the world. Different parts of the world, though, they call them like typhoons. Okay? So let's go to the table. and let's see what we can do about finding out how to predict the actual time of a hurricane, when it's going to arrive, and some interesting things about hurricanes. All right, now I want to give you an idea, because we're going to learn how to predict the hurricanes and their paths, that you do need something like all this stuff. When it comes to the hurricane season at the very beginning, you can check your local newspaper, and in the magazine section or whatever, they usually have a whole thing about how to protect the family from the hurricane, which is extremely important. But the idea is that you'll have, this is included in the newspaper. And what we need is a map with a graph. Another thing you can do, you go to your local grocery store. Look here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different companies that put out their little hurricane protection thing, and they're by grocery stores, TV stations, NOAA itself, the Weather Bureau, and they all have their charts and things that are available to you, so you can what we call plot the path of the hurricane. All right, off the computer, and from a gentleman who gets it from NOAA for me, we have these maps, of course. This is the one we just saw a minute ago. This is a hurricane coming forth across the United States. But I just want to get rid of that one. Let's just take it down and see what we have here. It's going to be kind of quick here. This is what we call the hurricane. It has a very classic shape to it. See its little tail on like that? Or what they call them the bands. And here we have one out here and one like this. Then we'll go to the next one. This hurricane, you can see it looks like it's falling apart, but don't worry about that. We can see the fact that we have the bands. What I'm trying to stress here is the fact that once a hurricane is approaching you, once it's on top of you, once it's leaving you, you're still going to be affected by it, because these bands still come across and cause a lot of havoc. This was an awesome year. Can you see that? 1, 2, 3 hurricanes in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, all at the same time. That was an awesome year. Here's Florida way over here in the corner, but the point is we had these 3 hurricanes, and we talked just a moment ago about a cold front. There it is right here. See that cold front? This cold front caused every one of those 3 hurricanes to turn to the right. Remember, I taught you that. And here's a classic example. We've seen this before, but here's your cold front coming across here. And when we have the hurricanes, of course, it turns them from us. All right, now we need to know some things about hurricanes themselves. Each year, they always give something about hurricane predictions. I'm going to draw on here, so we just listen to what I have to say, and then we'll go along with it. For example, this would be like the United States of America. There's Cuba, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and then some lesser islands. Then over here, of course, would be the coast of Africa and Spain and Portugal. Hurricanes begin in 2 different areas. Some of it depends on the year. Now, in hurricane predicting, kids, you're going to have to pay attention to the cycle. For example, there are years when hurricanes form in the Gulf. They actually come out of the country of Mexico. There are other years when hurricanes will be coming out of the African coast. You just have to check and see what's happening. As a hurricane comes off the African coast, something has to steer it, has to get it going.